Hello and welcome back to the course Clarify Your Private Practice Niche. This is Lesson 2. What is a therapy niche? When it comes to getting specific about your audience or the population that you want to work with, you need to not only ask yourself, who do you want to work with, but also who don't you want to work with? The more specific you can be, of course within reason, the more focused your marketing message will be. Now let's look at some examples. Do you work with parents of young children who have behavioral problems? Perhaps your population is gifted teens. Perhaps you work with adult women who have lost a spouse or a child, or with men who are struggling with anger problems. Do you work with new mothers suffering from postpartum depression? Or how about with adults living with chronic illness? Now, it may sound like I'm including both the audience and the problem in the definition of audience. And really what I'm doing is I'm trying to be specific about who the audience is. So let's see what I really mean by problem. So let's take a closer look. Do parents of small children who act up necessarily need counseling? Do women who have lost a spouse or a child necessarily need counseling or therapy? And does someone living with chronic illness necessarily need counseling? The point is that all of these are descriptions of populations. They are not going as far as to say that anyone in this population is really struggling and having a hard time with their life. For instance, parents of small children who act up need help only if they're really frustrated, can't figure out how to correct the behavior, they've tried everything they know. If the child's behavior is really disruptive, if it's really getting in the way of their family life, if perhaps the child's behavior is causing problems at daycare or school, and they're afraid that the child may not be able to continue going there, or if they're concerned that the behavior is a symptom of some kind of underlying problem or abuse or something else that's going on. Here's another example. Someone living with chronic illness really only will seek help if they feel that their illness has really taken over their life, they feel isolated, don't have a support system, they're stuck in a cycle of anger or self-blame, maybe they feel depressed or suicidal. There are a lot of people who are living with chronic illness who are fine without therapy. They have no interest in therapy, no interest in help. They're doing just fine. So what you want to make sure that you do is that you get as specific as possible about here's the person, these are their characteristics, and here's their situation in terms of a problem. They really are feeling the effects of this illness or condition or whatever it is. So now let's move to the solution, to your solution. Basically, your solution alleviates or resolves the problem. It helps the potential client move towards what they want, which is usually, obviously, the opposite of what they're struggling with. You actually don't need to go into all the details of how it is that you help them, only that you help them. This is a common mistake that people make. They get too detailed about their modality or their technique or whatever, and the more you say about that, the more likely you're going to scare people away. So really what you want to do is you want to dangle hope that you have a solution for them, and you want to leave it at that. And then they can read further, they can get to know you, they can call you, whatever. You really want to just incite curiosity and hope at this point, and you don't want to get bogged down in what your solution is. So let's look at a solution example now. Parents with out-of-control youngsters, what do they want? They want to ensure there's nothing wrong medically, they want to get their life back, and they want to ensure that their kids can stay in school. So these are the things that you really want to address immediately in your marketing message, and this is the part of the solution that would define your niche. Basically what you're saying here is that you would work with parents of out-of-control youngsters to help them ensure there's nothing wrong medically, get their life back, and ensure their kids can stay in school. You notice that we don't go into I utilize solution-focused therapy or the Love and Logic program or anything like that. Simply promising that you can work with them to help them get on the right track. That's all you need to do. Here's another example. People living with chronic illness, what do they want? They basically want to have a workable life, not entirely consumed by their illness. Now, you can get a little more specific than that. You can address some of the other issues. But basically, what you want to do in your solution part of your niche is you just want to indicate that you're going to help with the issue. You're going to indicate who the audience is, what the problem is, and that you have a solution. This course isn't really about formulating marketing messages. I have another course for that called Develop Your Marketing Message, where we get very specific about how to actually write the marketing materials. However, I'm just trying to get across the point that the niche includes a solution, but the solution doesn't go into all the details about how it is that you do what you do. So again, let's look at the 3 necessary components of a niche. First, you need to include your audience. Second, their problem. And third, your solution, again in general terms, not going into too much detail about how you get them there. All 3 of these components must be immediately evident in any marketing materials. So what we're going to do next is we're going to look at some examples, and I hope that this will really drive home the point.